This is Jesse Manibusan, and you are listening to the amazing Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
Here we are with Jesse Manibusan, right here in lovely Bayview Studios. Bayview Studios is going to be moving.
This is the last show, right, for Bayview Studios?
This will be the last show in Bayview Studios. As we know it, we'll have a new studio set up.
We're super stoked about the new studio. It's awesome.
It might be Mountain View Studios, because in my new house you can see Mount Tampa Pines.
Right.
Jesse, what you got going on, man?
Lots going on. One of the great things that's going on right now is that I actually have time off. I'm off of the road for about 3 weeks because I travel.
You got
lot.
3 weeks off the road.
3 weeks. 3 weeks off.
I think the last time you had 3 weeks off, man, it's been a while, huh?
30 years, maybe. It's been a while.
Wow.
It's been a while. It happens every now and then, but those moments are few and far between.
Tell me about your average road trip.
Okay, on December 9th of 2015, I jumped on an airplane, San Francisco, headed over to Singapore.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country.
Clean, huh?
Very clean, and folks with lots of boundaries.
Wow.
They don't even play, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Singapore is like, we got boundaries, adhere.
Uh-huh.
You must comply, or you will be in a place where you will not want to be.
Not so much on the hugging of strangers.
True that. But beautiful people, amazing food, great history. It's really a young country. You know, after British rule, they managed to navigate through all the newness of being their own political independent country. So great folks. And I was there for about 7 days, and then I went to Perth, Australia.
From Singapore to Perth?
Australia.
Man, that's a mile.
Shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah.
Good on you. It was fantastic. I mean, very different cultures, but remarkably beautiful in different ways. Australia is very diverse. And Perth that's my first time to the furthest side of the country. I've been to, Sydney and Melbourne and Cannes and all of that, but Perth is like all the way west.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Do you ever take Rich with you?
Only when he behaves.
Which is not often.
Not often at all. But I am a forgiving soul. So we have actually done a lot of travel through the years, but not recently, but we're going to change that. We're going to start traveling together a lot.
Is that true? Did you just hear a commitment on the Break It Down show?
You've been leaving me home since I got arrested in Singapore.
Yeah.
You crossed those boundaries.
There are
didn't
papers. There's a poster of him in the airport.
He's remembered.
The immigration thing is really scary. It says death to all drug traffickers.
Yeah.
In red.
They just kill you.
Well, they just won't tolerate it, you know?
They don't tolerate much over there.
Yep. But you know what? There's something to be said about having strong boundaries.
Yeah.
You guys have a very long history of recording together, though.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We started playing music together.
You started
Yeah.
playing music together.
When we were kids.
I'm sitting across the table, ladies and gentlemen, from two absolutely stellar musicians. And I'm not saying that because I like you. I don't like you guys that much. I'm saying that because you are absolutely stellar musicians. And it's amazing to hear that you actually began playing music together.
As kids, yeah.
So we've heard, Rich was on our show, he was episode 70. And we heard that one day you came home from school and there was a drum set in the middle of the living room and nobody was home. And that was the beginning of his drumming career.
Yeah.
And so right around the time, I mean, you guys have known each other forever, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jess is actually the reason. He's the reason I started playing in bands. He came knocking on my door one out. Was it a Sunday?
It was a Sunday afternoon.
That was it.
And
we need a drummer or something.
And it's going to be you. Congratulations.
And we actually already had a drummer named Paul Chan, sweetest guy ever. And Rich was actually going to play timbales and percussion, but he actually got behind the kit.
You know, that's what he does.
And indeed he does.
And then pretty soon it was like, hey, so listen, Paul, does your dad still have that van? No? Okay, well, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Love you like a brother.
Right.
That was awkward.
Love you like a brother who's just been replaced and whose dad doesn't have that van anymore.
That's right.
So,
That was awkward.
how old were you guys? You guys have known each other
Early,
at this point, it's most of your lives.
We've been playing music separately, but professionally.
Yeah.
We started playing professionally in high school.
Okay.
We were playing in clubs.
Yeah.
One of the first clubs we played was an East Bay club called Bench and Bar in Oakland.
Okay.
And we were so young. It was stipulated that during the breaks, we had to go outside.
Wow.
Or stay in the back.
Or stay in the back and hide in the back.
That didn't work.
But we started playing professionally at a very young age.
Right.
We had music in our lives. You know, our uncle, Nick Nicholas, was part of a jazz trio called the Variations, Nick and the Variations. And whenever we see each other at a fiesta,
It was Nick and the Variations. It was
Nick
3
and-
people.
yeah.
So it was Nick,
Right.
your Uncle Nick, and 2 other guys. It was
Yeah.
like, I'm Very, and that's Asian.
That's it. That's pretty much it. Uncle Gallo. What? Uncle Gallo. That's Nick. That's a Nicholas. They call him Nick. But we knew him as Uncle Gallo.
Uncle Gallo. Okay. I'm going to rewind a minute, though, because I talked on our show with Rich about how I met Rich, and it was a pretty interesting story. I will say that how I met you is a very interesting story as well, because we're from Guam.
Half a day.
Alpha Day, as all our
Alpha Day.
listeners will tell you. I believe it was 1992. And at that point, you hadn't yet been to Guam, but you wrote and recorded an album called Homeland.
Yes. Yes.
So correct me.
All stories
where
are
I go
true.
wrong.
Some of them actually happened.
Yes.
Yes.
The Homeland album was recorded before you had set foot on Guam.
Correct.
And you just had a vision and a spiritual connection through your family.
Yeah.
And
It was Uncle Frank Guzman, who he passed away a number of years ago, but he married to my Auntie Annie. Sitting at the table, my parents and Uncle Frank are there, and the family's always supportive. My family's always been supportive of me as a musician. My Uncle Frank just asked this question, have you ever thought about writing for your people? And my honest response was, no.
you mean the citizens of Alameda?
And who are my people?
Yeah.
So that was the genesis of Homeland. It was just this wonderful question, and then a series of invitations to people on island and off island.
Yeah.
Please send me some stories, send me some articles, send me things that I can
Help me understand
what's
what's there and what people are thinking
And
about.
so it was cool. I wrote all that stuff just from not just from that research, but as it turns out, when I went to Guam in '93, I realized that the island was already in me.
Yeah.
In ways that I had not
never imagined. Yeah.
So getting there, and then you see the majority of people that are walking around look like you. That's
Right.
like the strangest thing.
Yeah.
But I knew immediately that I wasn't from Guam.
Let's slow down a moment, because I'm not sure everybody relates to this.
Yeah.
Because this is something that is very, very special about going there, because there aren't very, very many of us. And so when we see each other, we relate to each other. We have the things that bind us culturally that we can always relate to and laugh about. But we are the minority almost everywhere we go.
Yep.
So when you go to a place like Georgia, or, some place where there are white people and there are black people, there are not a lot of brown people.
Right.
And there are certainly not a lot of Chamorros from Guam. And you don't even understand. I mean, it's not a bother. It's just our reality, and it's no big deal. I mean, I remember when I went to New Orleans for the first time, and somebody pointed it out to me, like, man, we got white folks and we got black folks. We don't have a whole lot of people like you. And I was like, oh, I never really noticed. But then when you go to Guam and you go, holy shit, I am among my people.
Yeah.
It's a different feeling.
Well, my experience growing up was I did see black people, I did see white people, and I did see brown people.
Right.
But they were
We live in
primarily-
California.
Yeah, they were like Mexicano.
Right.
Or, norteños, or, from Guatemala,
Salvadorian,
Honduras.
Filipino.
Yeah, a lot of Filipinos.
Yeah.
And so even growing up, because Guam is such a small island, and there is a diaspora. There are tons of Chamorros, Guam people.
Yep.
All over the planet, but we're small. We're a small group.
Yeah.
And
our parents
yeah.
they were the generation that left.
Yes.
Because up until then, most, they stayed contained.
Yeah.
So
Some of them never left.
Yeah, some have never left, but it was really our parents' generation that made the diaspora, like you said. Please continue.
And I'm just saying that when I first went to Guam, I realized just how much Guam was already in me.
Yeah.
I wrote that collection, Homeland, thinking, I don't know, squat about Guam.
Yeah.
and wrote from that perspective. Homeland is a song that talks about, dreams. Who am I? Who is this people in the surrounded by this big ocean? And so you look at some of the text of the songs. But when I got to Guam and saw the people that looked like me, that was an awakening. That was an epiphany. However, one thing that was really unexpected was knowing that I didn't speak Chamorro.
Yeah.
And that I was raised in the States. I didn't have like a Chamorro on island accent. So that was immediately identified. Hey, boy, you're not from around here?
Right. Immediately.
How do you know that?
Oh, man.
You talk weird, boy.
Yeah. That's not the only reason. I mean, there's a different... We just move a little faster, too.
There's a different way of being in the world. Wherever you're raised, wherever you're formed,
yep,
that's gonna be part of who you are. So
yeah.
I remember those times I went to Guam. Folks would say, "Hey, slow down, boy."
Yep, despacio.
Despacio.
So this is what happened when we met. I happened to be on Guam, and my experience was slightly different. I was there until I was 5 years old. And I was fortunate enough that my grandma, who was my very first best friend, because my mom and dad went back to work. And then they said during the day, I would stay with my grandma. My grandma speaks beautiful English, but she chose, as my babysitter, not to speak any English to me.
Wow.
So if I wanted anything, I had to learn to speak Chamorro.
Oh, my gosh.
So my formation of language happened Chamorro and English simultaneously, and I had no idea how very fortunate I was.
Beautiful.
For that. But when I got here when I was 5 years old, I, like you guys, am very, very... I'm from California.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. This is, like you said, where I was formed.
America!
Right, America. Land of the free, home of the brave, great place to live, bear fucking, I believe it. When I was growing up, I was fortunate enough to go back every few years. So I was very Californian, but I would get out there and then I was Chamorro, but I was interesting for the ladies because I was from here.
For the ladies.
Oh, yeah. So in 1993, I happened to be there and my dad said, "Hey, do you know Jesse Manibusan?" I said, "Is he related to Uncle Albert Manibusan?" And he said, "Yeah, probably. But he lives in Alameda." And I said, "Oh, no, I don't think I do." And he goes, "Well, it's amazing you're going to meet him because he's here." And I said, "Oh, great." And he has this record. Huh? Yeah, it's called Homeland. He told me all about it. I said, "How did you meet him?" He goes, "Well, I'm going to play sax with him." And I said, "Oh, okay. Where?" And I don't remember exactly where, but that record had caused enough of a stir that you had to go back to Guam.
Yeah.
Like Guam had summoned you.
Yeah.
"Please come here and perform this record."
Yeah.
And we will come out. And come out, Guam did.
Yeah.
So when I met you, I was out there from here thinking, I got my run of this place. I'm cool. And then I was like, oh, here's Jesse. He's cooler than I am. Everybody's coming to see him. But I met you at the rehearsal.
Oh, at the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I met you, I met your sisters. Who else came out there? Did all of your brothers
all of
come
my
out?
brothers.
Yeah.
Frank, Joe,
all of them.
Jimmy, Jerry, Haley, and then Carmen and Tony.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So all of your siblings came.
Yeah. That was the second trip. I actually came in June, and then I returned in July with my brothers and sisters.
Okay, there you go. So when I was there was in July.
Yeah.
And that's where we met for the very first time many years ago. And I thought, well, this is cool, man. This is a neat concept. I'm glad the opportunity came up for you. And then I went to the show. And that record, I connected with that record in a way that I had never connected with any other record because it was so deeply personal. And a lot of records that we connect with are deeply personal for a lot of reasons, I connected with a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire records because I like love. I connected with a lot of things, but not a lot of things said, here is your life experience right here, yours.
Right.
in the same way that Homeland did for me. And I came back with the T-shirt, which I wore for many years until the damn thing fell apart. And I came back with the music that played in our house for years.
Yeah.
It was not only a terrific record, but it was like you guys showed up and you were the Chamorro Osmonds.
I know.
You
man.
had the whole family and everybody
Man,
was singing and everybody was...
All the brothers, they all got matching Aloha shirts.
Uh-huh.
And white pants.
That's hilarious.
And they were the Jackson Osmonds.
Yeah.
And I was Tony Orlando or Freddie Fender. It depends on...
Right. Who you asking what angle you were looking at.
I was the Chamorro Engelbert Humperdinck. I don't know.
It was terrific. Now, I think right at that point was very shortly after I met Rich. So I believe I said, hey, man, wow, you're from Alameda, huh? You know Rich Aguon then?
Yeah.
And you said, of course I do. I've made that guy play in the band when he first started playing the drums.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that that's what you said, but we did make that connection. You were supposed to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought with you Don Turney.
On the first trip, June.
Yes.
June trip, yeah.
And then, no, so I wasn't there when Don was there. I was there when
Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny Penalver.
Kenny Penalver was there. So, have you been back since many times?
I have. I've probably been back at least four other times.
Yeah.
And I'm going back in July.
Oh, wow.
I
Well,
was
you
going to be
picked
there
a
for
hot
festival.
time to go back.
I know, man. I know. I'm like, what are you thinking, boy? But
I'll go back there with you when you go in
But
October.
it's a cool thing. Hey, man, I'm going to go to visit. I'm going to go to Manilao
Yeah.
and to Santa Teresita.
Uh-huh. Is that
I'm
where your
writing
folks
a
are
theme
from?
song. I'm writing them a theme song, a mass setting for them, and then I'm going to do about 4 or 5 days of work. And then just really for the first time, relax and sort of
Oh, you're going to relax.
enjoy the island. Because every time I go,
You
I'm
got work to
working.
do. Yeah.
And I love the work.
Mm-hmm.
I love visiting the youth authority. I love visiting the Dominican sisters and trying to get to many schools as I can. But this time around, I'm going to work 4 or 5 days, and then I'm going to take probably 6 days to just relax.
Wow. That's terrific.
That's a guy
is-
that works hard right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 6 days and just relax.
Yeah.
Like that's you work hard.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 whole days and you're like that's like a lifetime for you.
That is. It's
You
like,
know?
what am I going to do with myself?
Man, I would like our listeners who have been to Guam to just think about the fact that we have a guy who's been there several times and he's just now taking some time to relax.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're best at.
That's how we're wired, man.
That's right. And for you to have been out there that many times, but you're just now getting around to the relaxing,
Yeah.
what's going on there?
I know.
Man, that's like saying, I go to Birmingham, Alabama all the time. This time I'm going to go to Dreamland Barbecue. You never been to Dreamland Barbecue?
Ooh, you know about
You know what I'm
Dreamland
saying?
Barbecue.
So, yeah. Man, I haven't been vegan all my life.
That's right.
But anyway, so that's great, man.
Yeah.
It's nice that you have that kind of schedule. It seems like you've loosened up a little bit. You've given yourself a little bit of a break this year.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, well, I'm recommitting my life to slowing down a little bit, just cultivate some joy in my own life. I consider my work as a joy cultivator. You know, I'm the Chamorro Gabriel Iglesias. He says I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. I tell people I'm not out of shape, I'm a circle. But
That's a shape.
But I'm really
It's a legitimate shape.
So I'm really going to try to, I've got a lot of other stuff going. It's a slow summer, which is great. I'll be in Guam in July for about 14 days. And then, but I'm recording a new CD. I had a brand new CD that came out in December called Sing of Mary. And then this new CD is called Fish With Me with Ken Canedo. And then I've got a lot of other writing projects to do. So just looking forward to taking what time I can to spend time with my family and just hang out.
Yeah, enjoy your life a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you've been spreading enjoyment to other people's lives for many, many years.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
So when these projects come to you and they arrive. How do they get there? I mean, you're in the entertainment business, but it's such a different genre than most.
Yes. So
enlighten us. How does work like that get to you?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the strangest thing because when I first started doing this work, and people call me a lay evangelizer, in the secular world, I would be called a motivational speaker, entertainer. Some of the teenagers call me a Catholic ninja. I'm essentially a singer, storyteller, humorist, teller of tall tales, and I work primarily in the church as a person who tries to cultivate joy in a variety of ways. So I have a niche. I've been doing this for about 35 years professionally because it's a niche. It's a really unique niche. So wherever I go, in the beginning, I never recorded. I just never thought of it. It's not my domain. My domain is on the stage, live performance, live presentations. But people would actually get irritated because I didn't have any recordings. They would say, where can we get your CD? And
I experienced so much joy, I want to take it home.
I need more.
Yeah. They do. So now part of it is just, I have a publisher, Oregon Catholic Press. My songs are in some of the hymnals, and I'm in this flow of music and service that people are, they're the ones who are inspiring the music. The experience are inspiring the music. And so it's just part of the process now where we'll, like this new record, Fish With Me, a friend of mine recorded a collection called Love Never Fails like 10, 12 years ago. And this is like this is the sequel. There's always opportunities to co-write with others, to co-write. And so there's all kinds of motivation and inspiration to create music. I'm working on a book called Litany of My Saints. And these are just people who have been really inspirational to me in my life. So lots of inspiration. But I am Chamorro. So I have to make sure that I have, and that a lot of Chamorros don't have like that activator thing. Let's get it done. Get her done. I certainly don't. So I have a couple of people in my life who help motivate me and nudge me along the way. So I just don't live in the realm of good intention.
Yeah. We do have an activator. The activator is take a break. Instead of get her done.
Yeah.
Let's procrastinate.
Be a Guaminian.
How about, Rich, are you playing on any of this stuff? When can we hear the two of you playing together?
I'm in and out. We work on stuff.
Yeah.
And if I go right, and then we come back and hook up.
Yeah.
We always meet up.
Always meet up.
One time we didn't see each other for 9 years.
Did you guys not see each other for 9 years?
Because I was in Texas and he was still here in California.
Yeah.
And I was touring on
he was like
other kind of music.
touring the planet.
Yeah.
Traveling with.
Well, that was relatively recently, right? So, I mean, I didn't see you for a long time either. But you were in Texas at the time.
North Dallas, a little town called Grapevine.
Grapevine, Texas. Yeah. How long were you there?
11 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't see you for many years either.
It was great. It was a great experience. It reminded me of Guam, except
there is a pocket of Chamorros around North Dallas.
Yeah, there is. But they're small pockets. We're everywhere.
You know what they do? They grow peppers.
Booney.
Yeah, the booney peppers grow in Texas.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a secret.
Those are very special, and they're native to Guam, but they will grow in Texas.
Man, in Dallas, there's an arboretum.
Yeah.
Arboretarium.
It's a plant place.
Plant place.
Flowers and
It's a farm
trees and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And one of my cousins was there, and he said they had an exhibit with the booney pepper. And
it's an exhibit.
Yeah, it's like one of the featured things. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to use this for my fina denny."
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, you're about to get busted by a popo.
That might be a felony. So I'm really honored to be in the presence of both of you at the same time, because it seems like you guys drift apart. You go make music in places all over.
We're connected by the hip.
And then you come back together.
Yeah. No red tape. That's the way our people tend to be.
That's right.
It's just instant hospitality. We just pick up where we left off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete Turner.
And if you like the show,
do us a favor.
Yeah, share it.
That's the biggest thing, honestly.
All your social media outlets, all your friends, let them know the ones that you like.
Yeah. I mean, we make this show for you guys. If you think it's great, say so. Say so by sharing it. Say so by putting a comment in after the show.
Also, if you go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts, give us a rating. Give us a review. If you think the show is great, please give us 5 stars and say so. And if you think the show really sucks, please give us 5 stars and say so.
Because, heck, we're listening.
That's right.
You can't be more approachable than us. We want to make the show better. If there's something that we're missing, let us know. That really is how you help us.
That's right. Tell us all about it. Thanks for listening.
And now back to the show.
So good. That means you guys are going to make some more recordings.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely going to do some more stuff. And I'm really looking forward to working with Rich a lot more on the road. Just have some things in my mind that I'm planning.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Maybe do something at Yoshi's, do a weekend at Yoshi's.
Yeah.
Put something together.
Now, I'm not tomorrow, but I like to relax, and I'm really good at naps.
He's good at it.
So if you need someone like me around, you let me know.
He's good at it. In fact, I think maybe we might need to test your DNA.
Give me some
There might be
tomorrow.
somebody in your somebody in your lineage was in the Navy.
Dude, the spirit of Chamorro is in
Yes,
you.
it's deep within me.
Uh-huh. It's tough to get back on track after that visual. So, in your line of work, how do you think your music has evolved? What has that connection that you have to make with your audience in the churches around the world? How is it different from place to place, from year to year?
Now, I started playing music in the church when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So, and I didn't start playing professionally until I was
11.
maybe 14.
Okay.
In bars and stuff.
Yeah.
In church,
When he was 14, he looked like he was 27.
younger because of Spam.
Yeah.
That's like our oil of Olay. So,
Yes.
but this is what was different, and it was a huge difference. In church, when I'm singing, what I'm doing musically, I'm not the performer. My job is to enable the congregation
Right.
to pray,
To get up
to
and
be the
Right.
voice,
The vehicle.
Yeah. So in the clubs doing secular music, I'm the performer.
You're right. Your job is to make people booty shake.
Yeah, and just make them work it. Yeah. And so through the years, what I've done musically, what I've learned musically in the secular world was very informative because it really helped me to be comfortable in front of large audiences to when I was supposed to direct things and bring a crowd together and help move them and engage them.
Yeah.
I learned that in the clubs,
Right.
and in the arenas and in the stadiums.
How to corral your audience.
I did. You have to build rapport.
I would have
That's what
never
we-
known he was terrified on stage.
Oh man,
Is
totally.
that true?
He only
First-
recently told me that in the last
Yeah.
6 years.
Really?
Our first gig. I don't think Rich, you might not have been. I think it was Paul. It was our first gig. Holy Names College. I'm playing Long Train. We're playing Long Train Running
Mhm.
down around the corner, half
Half
a mile from
here.
here.
Yeah.
See them on. I am turning my back is to the audience, and I'm looking at the drummer, and the oldest band member is like 25, and he says, "Turn around, turn around." I'm like, no,
Well,
Something
look at
bad's
that.
going to
I'm
happen.
not.
Yeah.
But it took like 2 songs for me to finally actually turn around. I was never comfortable unless the song was going. Eventually, I got there.
Jesse, this is Nico.
Hey,
I don't know if you guys have ever met.
Hey, I don't think so. How do you spell your name? N-I-K-O. Correct. Very good.
Correct.
I've got a question for you. So when you're playing, are you playing non-denominationally or are you playing Catholic churches?
I actually can. I mean, in the early days when I was just starting out professionally as a musician in the church, I didn't have lots of gigs, and I got invited to a lot of different denominations. In the early days, I would be able to play at a variety of places.
Yes.
But as the years moved on, I found myself not having any dates available because the Catholic Church was just using me everywhere. You know, because I could work with an audience that was K through 8th grade, or a college audience, or a high school audience, or adults and retired folks. I developed such a strange knack for variety of generations that
Where are you
I
going with
ended
those cookies?
The Nutter
just
Butters
said-
just
What
talked
happened to
away.
those cookies?
those are vegan.
You better bring those back.
He took the whole thing of
He
Nutter
did,
Butters.
and walked into his room with all
That's
them
my
cookies.
boy. That's my boy.
What you gonna do in there with them cookies?
So now that we're getting back to it, my dad's got a degree in divinity, and I've been to a lot of church, a lot of different kinds, every kind that we could go to. Actually, on top of his schooling, we also went out, and he was on the committee to buy a pipe organ. So we flew all around the nation looking at pipe organ places.
Wow.
His dad has a degree in divinity and minored in music.
No, major in music, masters in divinity.
Master in divinity,
Yeah.
majored in music.
So yeah, I've been in a lot of church, and
Wow.
I've seen he plays the tuba and the keyboards and all that kind of thing. And I've noticed that white people Catholic church is somber and quiet, unless like the kids are around and stuff.
Right.
But like if you go into Brazilian Catholic church, same building like in Florida, we're like, hey, 10 to 11, it's Brazilian time.
Yeah.
It's funky, and it's got different vibes, and like the white dude playing drums, he's like, dum, dum. He's just keeping a beat, but
Right.
Brazilian Catholic church, totally different ballgame.
I totally agree with that. And I'm also going to say that in the past 30 years, the Catholic Church has become much diverse in terms of music style. I think the majority, this is just one man's opinion, I think the majority still live and feel comfortable with the more traditional, I don't even know how to define that, forms of hymnody, great hymns of the church, pipe organ type thing. But there's also a movement in the church for the past 30 years that has included, even longer than in the 60s, we started bringing guitars into church and tambourines and finally drums and stuff. So there are places around where you'll go, whoa, they've got a whole worship band. They've got a whole, but I wouldn't say that that's the majority of the places, but you'd be surprised at the diversity that you find in the Catholic Church in the world. I mean, I've been to the Catholic Church in Guguletu and outside of Cape Town, South Africa. No guitars, no organs, no pipe organs. They use the drum. And that church was singing. It was singing the roof off. It was praying the roof off. It was Catholic.
Wow.
And that was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's different.
That is a revelation.
Yeah.
Because in the Catholic Church where I grew up, there was an organ. And when the lady wasn't playing the organ, she was playing a piano. And there was a gentleman who from time to time would have a guitar. And everything was very somber.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of music. And then when I took up music myself, my musical co-conspirator, Corey Jacobs, who wrote the theme song for our show, he said, hey, man, do you want to come play in my church? And I said, no, I don't want to play in your church. What are you talking about? I get in trouble if I hit a drum in the church. That's how I felt. And then he said, no, man, in my church is cool. Okay, I'll come to your church with you. So I went to the church with him, and then you know what happened. It was like, oh, you should come next week.
Yeah.
And, it was a gospel church. It rocked hard in there.
Yeah, do Lord is
Man.
the warm-up. Like,
That's
you're just
right.
getting loose.
That's right. We got the Holy Ghost in there.
Yeah.
Zoom, dung, 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 dung,
Yeah,
dung,
yeah.
dung, 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 dung. Oh, that was so much fun, but it was so mind-blowing because I would look around the insides and go, yeah, it does look like a church in here, but I'm in here playing I brought my drum.
Yeah.
It felt foreign to me to bring a drum set into the building.
I remember being in a church, and it was not scandalous, but it was a shock to the people when the guy plugged his amp in.
Right.
It's like, whoa, you going to plug the thing in?
Yeah.
And he did, and it was okay.
Yeah. It's still, to some folks, it depends on the demographic.
Sure.
It is scandalous to see guitars. It's scandalous to see a worship band.
Mm-hmm.
But again, life changes.
That's right.
It is constantly changing. And so I'm happy to say there are signs that the Holy Spirit is working, and you can go to Alcatraz Avenue in Oakland to St. Columba's, and you will have yourself an amazing gospel, super impassioned preaching and music. I just came from Rich's rehearsal that had like a 6-piece rhythm
You
section.
guys got a crazy band at your church.
6-piece vocal. Oh my gosh. I was like, ooh, earth, wind, and fire, horns, and everything. And then you can go to another church and just hear a scola or a choir. So it's a beautiful variety. There's plenty to be surprised at.
But church in general, you would say, again, one man's opinion, but a man who has spent his professional life in churches throughout the world. Church has become more and more musical. Worship has become more expressive with music.
I think you could say that. I think you could say that. Pope Francis says we're called to be missionary disciples. not just be the church where we are,
Mm-hmm.
but take all the gifts that we have and take them and share them. And I think, that's been happening in the church as long as the church has been around. I think, again, we're discovering how much transformation has gone on. Music is becoming, now there are different tensions in the church.
Mm-hmm.
After the Vatican II Council in 62, 63, 64, around that time in the early 60s, before the Vatican II Council, things were like, there's a whole different way of even looking at church, where the priest faces the altar and speaks for the people of God in a transcendent kind of fashion, like I'm speaking on behalf of the people of God. Vatican II happens, all of a sudden the priest is facing the assembly, the congregation.
Yeah.
And it's not priests speaking for the people of God, it's the people of God and the liturgy, which means the work of the people. So there's a lot of evolution going on. And in some places you see it happening a lot. In other places you go, wow, it's like time has not moved.
Yeah.
So it's part of the phenomena of life and change and
Expansion, contraction.
It is that. It's
movement,
it's
change.
all of it. Because you can go to a number of the churches in Europe and go, wow, nice museums.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner. I'm just saying that's
They've
a
been-
fascinating thing.
Right. Preserved for centuries.
Yeah. But then in Europe, that's where we had all of the terrible times of the church and Inquisition and all of the horrible stuff that happened near headquarters in Europe. And you look like places like Australia, you look at places like the U.S., and you see these younger countries where we don't have that long history because we're a little bit more far removed time-wise and distance-wise from headquarters. So I don't want to generalize, just say that there's a diversity of stuff going on in the church.
Yeah.
And I think the good sign is that we want our faith to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just keep things status quo. We want to grow in understanding. We don't want to just approve of what's on the books. We want to have a meaningful relationship with God, with the people of God, with all of creation. We want to have a meaningful, life-giving relationship. For me, that's a cool thing.
So back in those European days, yes, they've got the Inquisition or those negative things, but also there's the incredible brilliance of the music from those past times. Handel, Messiah, Bach,
Right.
going crazy, Mozart, all those guys writing for the church. That'd be like Prince, the
Yeah.
Eagles, and the Beatles writing church music.
Yeah.
Is there a time when something like that happens where the geniuses of the geniuses are going to be writing church music as a norm again?
Well, I think that's what's happening. I think
Nice.
that's just part of, again, of the natural process and evolution of humanity. You could say, look at some of the contemporary hymns, or even some of the older hymns of the church, not just a contemporary, and you can hear some of the European masters.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear some of the melodies. You can hear echoes of some of their melodies.
Sure, yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating. But then what's really remarkable is the masters from Mexico. The masters from Vietnam are being discovered.
Wow.
The masters of the Pacific Rim are being discovered. That's part of the great beauty. I mean, I could say Pedro Rubalcaba, great composer, Mexican-American. Eliarza Cortez, Jaime Cortez from El Salvador, Santiago Fernandez, Mary Frances Reza. These were all these Latino composers. Ron Harper, African-American. Leon Roberts, African-American. Grayson Warren Brown. There are Diana McClintock, Filipino-American. Rory Cooney, Bob Hurt, Ken Canedo. There are all these contemporary writers that are adding to this wonderful repertoire of what we call faith music, sacred music. It's all becoming part of our sacred history.
Wow. And we have the ability to preserve those works now more than we ever have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's terrific, man.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting. And we're all, we all work in ministry, but we're all struggling, regular folks with foibles and hang-ups and compulsions and addictions. We're We're like anybody else.
Expressing the human experience in faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been said in Scripture that Jesus did not cling to his divinity. There was something about humanity that he says, I want that.
That's what he clung to.
Boom.
Wow.
So
That's heavy.
that's tough.
That is
That's
cool.
some stuff, man.
Man. Are you familiar with the work of a gentleman named Rob Bell?
I am. Love Rob Bell. Some
So
people
do
call him
we.
a heretic. I think he's a prophet.
I think he
That's
speaks to
that's a
people.
strong word, but I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think he speaks in a way that is. I think that the norm must be challenged in ways that I don't think he was disrespectful in the way that he challenged norms. I think he seeked a path that was uniquely his own, with the purpose of reaching an understanding with his own faith that he could broadcast.
Yeah.
And he'll be on our show next week.
Tell Rob I back him up. He is in the tradition of a first century Palestinian Jew named Jesus, who
Yeah.
wasn't readily accepted by the ecclesial authorities of his time. If you're going to be a prophet, you're either going to be listened to or you're going to be killed.
Right.
And maybe not physically, some do,
Mhm.
but you're going to take hits.
Yeah.
Even me saying that on the microphone, I could take hits.
Yeah.
And I've heard from so many elders in my own tradition who have said, don't stick your neck out too far or for too long.
Yeah.
So, but that's the nature, that's the character of the prophet. The prophet's going to speak for God, not to just shove stuff down, but the prophet's saying, hey, can we please pay attention?
Yeah.
We're missing stuff here. Can we please pay attention? Because it's not, yeah, I could say so much about that, but no, love Rob Bell, love Brian McLaren, Richard Rohr, Joan Chittister, great folks.
As much as faith is timeless, I think that faith in application has to pay attention to human circumstance and to time in history. I mean, we have to be able to take faith and apply it to the practical things in our lives, allow it to inform our decisions. In order to do that, we do have to challenge it differently now than someone did many years ago, than the scriptures that, were challenged throughout history. Things are different in different times in history.
Yeah.
The challenges that we face with our foibles are different in different times in human history.
Absolutely.
What Rob does well too is he provides context of the time of the scriptures.
Yeah.
Talking about the actual Greek or Hebrew text and what that translation and how it's kind of morphed. And then it gets morphed a little more, and then it's in Tennessee and it gets changed a little more. And all of a sudden, you're nowhere near the middle of the road anymore. You're off on this path, and you're like, hey, man,
That's not what they meant.
That's not what they meant.
Yeah.
And even if I'm wrong with my thing, this isn't unreasonable. Yours seems unreasonable.
Yeah.
And in a time when the church, at least in America, struggles to maintain a young audience in a lot of areas, it's important to have someone to bring some reality back in. Because it's easy to say I'm an atheist, and I don't know what the heck I am, but I'll say this. It's hard to say there's no God when you look at the words Silent Night, because that was inspired by God. And you don't got to believe in God, but go tell that to Monk Moore, who wrote that thing.
Yeah.
Go tell that to Jesse sitting across from me, who writes songs. There's a God, and he moves through you. And if I choose to not see that,
Yeah.
shame on me.
And you know what? I'm a Catholic. I'm a Christian. I have no fear of atheists or agnostics or people who don't believe like I do. I
Right.
don't have, sometimes I'll feel nervous
Sure.
that some of our differences are really different. But I think if you're a person of faith, this is one person's opinion, you gotta walk in faith, not in fear. And if anything that human beings have done through the ages is we've let our fear run amok. And we talk about people who we don't even know. We condemn people. We demonize people who we have no relationship to except for the press that somebody has passed along
Sure.
the way.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, I just wrote a song that's going to get published by Oregon Catholic Press called All Are Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Simply says, All are welcome in this place. Behold love's amazing grace. All are welcome. All are welcome. Bring your hopes and your dreams. Mercy flows and love redeems. All are welcome. All belong. And that's just a chorus that speaks. There's not like really specific God language.
Sure.
And I wrote it as such because I'm thinking, hey, the people who walk in God, walk with faith, they're going to know what we're talking about. But the people who are not within our circle need to know that they're welcomed, that they belong, that there's a place at the table for them, even if they believe completely different than us. Now, some people may say that's a little bit too radical. I just disagree.
We had a conversation yesterday with a person who we admire a great deal, whose daughter is a lesbian. And she's a young lady just finding out about herself. And so they are struggling with, I don't want to say struggling is not the word. They are dealing with their situation in the church where not everybody's accepting. And our friend, who's the mother, said, you know what? Maybe this church, maybe another church. You are my daughter. And I'm pretty sure that Jesus was all in favor of more love, not less love, more love. And that is an evolution of thought. That is an evolution. And I think that as long as it's allowed where all are welcome, and as long as it's allowed where everything's in the spirit of more love, then that's a great place.
It is. Fear is a very powerful force. My daughter Jenna came out when she was 19, and I was honored that she trusted me and her mother enough to just say, hey, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I felt honored that she would love us and trust us that much. I had no regret. I only had one fear, that she lives in a world that is going to put obstacles in her way.
Yeah.
That are going to judge her without even knowing who she is. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a lot of things to say, a lot of moral things that they're going to throw at her. And all I could think of was, you know what? I'm going to be the church. I'm going to represent the best that the church has to offer for my daughter. To this day, my daughter doesn't practice as a Catholic. And part of my heart is heavy for that, because I know that there's something for her, but I also understand why her heart would be heavy and that why she wouldn't. But she says, Dad, I'm still a Catholic. I'm a Catholic because of you. I still believe in God because of you. I'm just going to love my daughter. I'm just going to love my daughter. And I'm just going to encourage people to be a loving presence and stop politicizing stuff. But I also I need to have compassionate acceptance for people who don't see things the way that others see.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably going to be the biggest thing for all of us, as not just as a country, but as a humanity, to have compassionate acceptance, to accept people where they're at without turning around and doing the exact same thing, judging them and condemning them. You know, there are some politicians out there right now that I would love to judge and condemn.
Yeah.
But all I have to do is just look at my own life and go, dude,
Yep.
don't throw stuff, man.
That's right. Let he who is without sin.
Yeah. You know, I think the Pope Francis is like,
and he who is without sin is not sitting at this table.
There's a funny joke about Jesus in that situation. It says, let he who is with the sin throw the first stone. All of a sudden, there's come this big old boulder, and it just cracks this person in the head. And Jesus goes, "Mom, come on." No disrespect.
That's a
to
funny
the Holy
joke.
Mama.
Of course.
That's a funny joke.
Yes.
So
I never heard that before. I have, for a very long time, identified myself as agnostic for many reasons that are exactly that. Not necessarily as a non-believer, but just as a person who had to question why this institution of faith, which, by the way, has had a very important role in controlling populations in centuries past, when populations absolutely needed to be controlled,
Sure.
would allow for anything that encouraged less love. My question has always surrounded that topic. Why do we have these stringent rules that would encourage less love? And I'm happy to see that evolution.
You know, I have to remind myself that we're an ancient tradition. Christianity is an ancient tradition, and we've learned so much. We've done a lot of good. We've done some things that weren't good. We're still learning. We're still growing. But I think I said that in Europe there was the Inquisition and a lot of really dark moments of the church. But I also want to say there were small faith communities like the Franciscans and the Dominicans and the Claretians and these small little faith communities that were like these oases of hope and dignity and hospitality. So
it survived those times.
It did.
But the Dominicans and the Franciscans come from two separate dudes that walked around and said, I'm not eating except for what I get when I get there.
Right, right.
And then those people said, God, I'm so moved by this guy. When I die, I'm going to give you my stuff. You know, and it built this incredible following based upon their total devotion on the Lord.
Right. In the human story, there's going to be a diversity in the midst of what looks like there's unity. Franciscans were involved in inquisitions, not the Franciscans.
No, right, exactly.
I'm saying there was a group of people in the church. There was a group of people in the church, like we could say there's a group of people in the government. So I just want to be careful and say, no, because like saying the church is not some monolithic thing. I want to be clear that we're talking about a human story.
Sure.
It's a story of humanity that has made lots of errors, has done miraculous and wonderful things, and hope springs eternal.
Right.
Even though we have this particular political cycle that doesn't seem like there is, but hope springs eternal.
But one of the things too about the older church, and again, it's not the church, but the fact that politics and religion, in most times, in nearly all of historical settings, they weren't inseparable. So you're talking about a time when politics was the church, and we've gotten away from that here in this country, but most of the world they haven't. So you have to have that sorting out of when the political movement is more out of tune with the religious movement, and you get away from things like love, and you have to have a prophet come back and say, back towards the middle of the road, back towards love.
Right.
Because what Jesus wants is for you to love your daughter.
Yeah.
And, you know, no matter what she is. Because he didn't say, hey, you should love everybody, all things.
Right.
Except if they are different in some way.
Right.
So,
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Again, and it's not, I'm not even asking for there to be some kind of just some moral statement for the whole planet that everything has to somehow agree or be. It's a complex world.
Yes.
It's a complex world. And I think where we get into trouble, I think where I see trouble is when we grossly oversimplify stuff. Let me say it honestly, where we oversimplify shit for our own selfish, greedy, insecure, and fearful issues and our circumstance, where I think human beings can be extremely lazy and not use the brain that we've been given that has so much potential. But I think that this human story is just chock full of the best and the worst and the complex.
That's true.
And so I think we just get into trouble when we just boil everything down to this issue or that issue. It's a little bit more complicated.
It's a lot more complicated than that.
You know, make America great. Wait a second. That doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
That's like support your troops. What?
Right.
I mean, these are statements that were sound bites built
Right.
to just make people not think.
And allow those people to say things without ever having to actually do anything.
So, God said it. I believe it. That settles it.
And you read Hebrew text?
You ask Jewish folks, man, when I was studying theology at the Franciscan School of Theology in Berkeley, and we had a great speaker, it's this wonderful rabbi, and I asked him a question, and he just goes, "You're Catholic, aren't you?" And I go, "How did you know?" And it made sense, because I, as a young Catholic growing up, didn't have a lot of scriptural.
Sure.
And I didn't understand that Hebrew scripture is written and interpreted is not like America.
Right.
It's a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different context. And to see people in the country, in the U.S., just translate it to their own agenda. It's just
History is
like,
full
wow.
of books that were translated wrong.
Yeah.
You know, all of the Protestants come from that. You know, like, look, I actually went back and read the Greek text, and heck, there's 3 words for love.
Yeah.
We have 1. You know, there's going to be some miscommunication from an old book. And I know when I write things, I struggle to make it clear for anybody that reads it.
Yeah.
So heaven forbid I grab the wrong guy who does a translation and he gets my wrong version of love, you know?
Right. It's a strange thing. I mean, what would it be like, and I know this is kind of Pollyanna, but I'm going to say it anyway, is whenever we talked about stuff that we talked about it with love. No, you know, we acknowledge that we have a lot of ego in the room. There could be fear in the room. Let's just talk about how do you see things? What do you see? How can we make this better? What's really going on? What's some of the underlying things that are going on that we're not talking about? But you know what? That would take faith.
Yeah.
That would take faith to act like that, to speak like that, to treat each other with that kind of dignity. I'm not trying to say that things are totally out of hand. I'm just saying this is the human story.
Well, and the human story is supposed to be hard. I mean, we're still working on problems that we've had for a long time. But if you focus on love and say, you know what, no matter what you do, I got love for you. You know, I don't have to have you in my life, but I'm not going to carry this weight around.
Right.
You can at least live your own life with a lot less burden.
And we can disagree. We can disagree, but we're committed to this relationship. We're going to have respect and dignity in our disagreements, right? That's where one would hope.
One would hope. One would hope.
Right.
If we're doing it right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's continue to do it right. Let's continue to do it with music.
Man,
Yeah.
I love music. I love that for that, you know?
Check out, this is a new song that I wrote called Hold On to Love. There is a place for the sadness. Hold on to love. And there is a season for gladness. Hold on to love.
I love it.
When hatred seeks to divide us, hold on to love. Forgiveness will reunite us. Hold on to love. Loving it. My friend's actually recording the tracks for it right now in Portland.
Where can our listeners see you coming up very soon? Purchase music?
Yeah. Purchase music from jessemanibusan.com. That's my website. Or you can go to...
We'll have a link on the show page.
Yeah, you can go to ocp.org. That's my publisher. ocp.org has all my recordings. CD Baby has some of my downloads. If you want a smiley face t-shirt, you can go to my website, jessemanibusan.com. June 11th, I'll be in San Jose at St. Francis of Assisi Parish, June 11th. And then July 8th, I will be at St. Raymond's in San Ramon. And I've got a couple of other local dates.
That you'll put up on jessemanibusan.com.
Indeed, I will. And my Facebook page.
Okay.
And Instagram.
So, yeah, go to jessemanibusan.com, spelled just like it sounds. And we will also provide a link on our show page.
Twitter handle is JesseMan22.
Yeah. I'm in a new adventure in my life, a new chapter and season in my life. It's been a difficult one the past couple of years, but just send good energy, send love, and...
Everybody send love all around.
Yeah, be a loving presence. Know that life is complicated and difficult. Do what you can and try to be a loving presence.
Those words are probably the best words to live by that anybody has ever spoken. Be a loving presence.
Yeah.
That's Jesse Manibusan right there. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Pleasure to be with you guys. We'll do it again.
All right.
Break it down.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what we love to hear, man. Thank you very much.
You got it, man.